Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Learn HQ podcast. I'm Elena.
And I'm Mark. Well, Elena, I think we're about to burst some bubbles. We're having a very honest, maybe even a slightly uncomfortable conversation about what it actually takes to get promoted in your 30s or 40s.
You're right. I was scrolling through social media this morning and saw a video titled Say These 3 Words to Get a 20% Raise Instantly. And I just thought, Mark, if only it were that easy.
If it were that easy, everyone would be a CEO by now. The truth is, if you're working in a high-stakes corporate environment, your boss isn't looking for a magic word. They're looking for a track record.
Exactly. A promotion isn't won in a 15-minute meeting. It's won over the 6 to 12 months before you even sit down for that talk. Think of the promotion talk as the victory lap, not the race itself.
That's a great way to put it. The race is what happens in the trenches. It's how you handle complexity, how you navigate the messy politics, and whether you can actually drive a project to the finish line when the manual says it should be impossible.
So today, we're moving beyond basic vocabulary. We're looking at the high-level English and the senior presence you need to demonstrate overall capability. We're going to talk about real scenarios, the kind where you're sweating in a meeting and need the right words to stay in control.
Let's start with the work. I hear this all the time from coaching clients. Mark, I'm the hardest worker on the team. I hit every deadline. I never make mistakes. Why did my colleague get the promotion instead of me?
And the answer is usually painful. Doing your job is what you're already being paid for.
Exactly. Doing your job perfectly is the entry fee to keep your seat. To move up, you have to prove you are taking on increasingly complex tasks. But Elena, complex doesn't just mean harder math, does it?
No, not at all. In a professional context, complexity is almost always synonymous with ambiguity.
Let's give a real-life example here. Imagine you're a logistics manager.
Okay, I'm the manager. A task doer version of me says, I shipped 500 containers this month on time. That's great, but it's a standard task.
Right? Now, the senior version of you is dealing with a crisis. Say, a major port in Asia is closed due to a strike, and your costs are skyrocketing. There is no manual for this. You have to create a structure out of that chaos.
Exactly. So in my update, I wouldn't just say, it's a mess. I would say, I am currently navigating the complexity of a port closure by rerouting our Tier 1 shipments through a secondary hub to ensure we don't miss our Q4 distribution window.
See the difference? You've moved from shipping boxes to navigating complexity. You're showing scope.
Let's talk about scope. People get this confused with working more hours. They think if they work until 9 p.m., the boss will see their scope.
The boss just thinks you're slow if you're always working late. Scope is about the reach of your work. Does it affect just your desk, or does it affect the entire regional supply chain?
A phrase I love for this is, I am scaling my impact by.
Scaling my impact. Let's break that down. If you're a developer, you don't just fix a bug. You create a tool that prevents that bug from ever appearing for 100 other developers. You've scaled. You've provided a higher return on investment, ROI, for the company.
And when you're talking to your boss, you need to use words like bottleneck and roadblock. But here's the senior rule. Never point out a bottleneck unless you have a mitigation strategy.
That is such a high-value word. To mitigate means to make a problem less severe.
I remember a student who was a project manager. She was constantly complaining that the legal team was slow. She sounded like she was whining. I told her to change the English.
What did she say instead?
She went to her boss and said, I've identified a potential bottleneck in our legal review process. To mitigate the risk of a project delay, I've drafted a pre-approval template for the team to use.
Wow, that's a promotion-level sentence. She identified the problem, but she focused on the solution and the big picture. She showed she's looking at the health of the entire organization.
Okay, so your work is great. You're scaling your impact, but you're still not getting the title. Mark, let's talk about the invisible genius.
Oh, I know this person. They sit in the corner, they do brilliant work, and then they're shocked when the loud, mediocre guy gets promoted.
We've all seen it. The hard truth is that your work does not speak for itself. It needs an advocate, and that advocate is stakeholder management.
And just to be clear for our listeners, your stakeholders aren't just your immediate boss. It's the finance team who hates your budget requests. It's the sales team who is over-promising to clients. It's the key decision makers in other departments.
Let's use a real scenario. You're an accountant. You found a way to save the company $200,000. If you just put it in a spreadsheet, nobody cares.
So what do? You build a professional bridge. You set up a quick sync with the head of operations. You don't just show data, you show strategic alignment.
Strategic alignment. That's a mouthful, but it's powerful. It means your work isn't just good, it's helping the company hit its specific targets, like its KPIs.
I have a war story for this. I worked with a marketing lead who was frustrated. She was doing great social media campaigns, but the CEO didn't care about likes or shares.
So there was a gap between her work and the CEO's goals.
Exactly. We changed her language. In the next management review, she didn't talk about engagement. She said, "Our current social media strategy is strategically aligned with our corporate goal of reducing customer acquisition costs by 15%.
I bet the CEO's ears perked up at reducing costs.
He loved it. She became a strategic partner instead of just a marketing girl. That is the power of managing up. It's not about being fake. It's about translating your value into the language the bosses speak.
And what about the hardest part of being senior? Influence without authority.
This is where the English for adults really starts. You need a coder from another department to fix something for you. You aren't their boss. You can't fire them. How do you get them to move?
You don't demand. You negotiate. You get their buy-in.
I love that. You might say, "Mark, I'd like to get your buy-in on this new timeline. I know your team is swamped, but how can we bridge the gap between our departments so we don't miss the launch?"
Notice you didn't say you have to do this. You used how can we? You're facilitating a solution. That is exactly what a senior manager does every single day.
Here is a reality check for everyone listening. When a board of directors or a VP looks at your name for a promotion, they aren't looking at your past. They are looking at your potential.
This is so true. A promotion is a risk for the company. They are betting that if they give you more power and more money, you won't fail.
They need to see you performing at least 20% of the next job's responsibilities before they give you the title. You have to prove you can handle the messiness.
And for our listeners who are a bit more experienced, maybe in their late 30s, there's often a fear that they've hit a ceiling or that they're set in their ways.
You have to fight that stereotype with a growth mindset. But Elena, how do you show that without sounding like a student?
You focus on the application of knowledge. Instead of saying, "I took a course on AI," you say, "I've upskilled in generative AI tools to provide more data-driven insights, which has already allowed the team to cut our report generation time by half."
That's the key. Learning for the sake of the company, not just yourself.
Now let's talk about when the mess happens, because if you want to be a leader, you have to be the one who doesn't panic when the building is metaphorically on fire.
I've been in those meetings. Everyone is pointing fingers, blaming the vendor, blaming the weather.
And that's where you use the word pivot. It's a leadership word. It means you've acknowledged a failure and you've already found a new path.
Give us a war story for that.
Imagine a software launch. It's Monday. The launch is Friday. A major bug is found that can't be fixed in time. A junior person hides in their office. A senior person walks into the room and says, "We've faced a significant technical setback, but I've pivoted our launch strategy. We will release the core features on Friday and follow up with the secondary update in 2 weeks. This ensures we maintain our reputation for reliability."
That is pure gold. You owned the problem, you protected the company's reputation, and you provided a path forward. You showed resilience.
When you talk like that, you move from being a reliable worker to a strategic asset. You're protecting the business before the boss even has to ask.
Let's wrap this up with a reality simulation. One of the most common reasons people don't get promoted is that they fold under pressure. They get pushback from a difficult stakeholder, and they just give up.
Let's do a role play. Mark, you're the difficult stakeholder. You're a busy VP of sales, and I'm a project lead who needs your data.
Elena, look, I'm in the middle of closing the biggest deal of the year. I don't have time for your internal survey. Come back next month.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to bother you. It's just that my boss really wanted it. But I understand. Good luck with the deal.
And just like that, you've lost all authority. You're a victim of my schedule. Now let's try the senior presence version. Elena, I'm busy. No time. Talk to me in a month.
I understand the deal is the priority, Mark. However, if we don't include the sales data in this report now, it will create a downstream delay for the board's budget approval next quarter. How can we reprioritize 5 minutes of your time to ensure we don't lose that funding?
Oh, that's tough. You used my own interests, the budget, as leverage. You didn't make it personal. You focused on the downstream delay.
Exactly. And if my boss asks why the report is late, I don't blame Mark. I say, we encountered some resource constraints with the sales team, but I proactively negotiated a workaround to ensure the project stayed on its trajectory.
Proactively negotiated. If you can lead people through influence, rather than just using a title, you've proven you can handle a senior management role. Because that's what senior managers do all day. They negotiate.
So for everyone listening, this is the path. It's not a magic phrase you pull out of your pocket once a year. It's a continuous series of small, high-value interactions that happen in every Slack message, every status update, and every coffee chat. Think of it like building a reputation bank. Every time you use this level of English to solve a problem or align your work with the company's goals, you're making a deposit. By the time you actually ask for that promotion, your account is so full that the decision is a no-brainer for your manager. They've already seen you acting like a leader for months.
And please, don't let the fear of your English level or a slight accent stop you from showing up. The fact that you are even here, engaging with a deep dive podcast about management reviews and strategic alignment in a second language, is a powerful indicator of your potential. It proves you have the growth mindset that high-level management values most. You aren't just learning words, you're training your brain to handle complex leadership concepts in a global environment. That courage to be imperfect while delivering value is what separates a senior professional from everyone else.
You're already doing the work. The technical skill and the dedication are already there. Now, it's just about using the language that acts as a bridge, making your value visible and undeniable to the decision makers who track your progress. We really want to hear from you, though. What is the specific roadblock or the biggest pain point you're facing in your office right now? Is it a stakeholder who refuses to cooperate, or a project that's losing its trajectory? Share those real-world challenges in the comments. We read every single one, and we want to help you solve these hurdles so we can all reach that next level together.
Remember that promotion isn't a sprint. It's a marathon of consistent, high-value actions. Trust the process of building your visibility and aligning your work with the company's long-term vision, even on those quiet days when it feels like no one is watching. Keep showing up with that senior presence, keep mitigating those organizational risks, and the results will follow. We are firmly in your corner.
If this conversation hit home for you, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We have a whole series of these deep dives planned, where we'll continue to break down the high-stakes English you need for board meetings, global negotiations, and those high-pressure management syncs we discussed today. You don't want to miss the specific tools and frameworks that will help you fill that reputation bank we just mentioned.
We'll see you next time.